Are you the type who always finds excuses to avoid parties? Maybe you're the one that hesitates at every invitation, thinking up a reason not to attend, and then wonders what that hesitation really means. What if your constant search for a way out of social events actually reveals something deeper about who you are? Today on the Growth Mindset Project, we're diving into the psychology behind why some of us instinctively try to sidestep gatherings, and what that says about our minds, our energy, and our need for connection. If you've ever wondered why you search for an escape when a group photo is suggested or a party invite pops up, you're going to want to listen closely. If you're interested in content that helps you understand yourself better, that explores what makes us tick and how to embrace your unique wiring, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you never miss an episode from the Growth Mindset Project. Let's picture this for a moment. Your phone buzzes and it's an invite to a party. Your first thought isn't excitement, it's, how can I get out of this? Maybe you think up a work excuse, a family errand, or even a sudden headache. If you constantly find excuses to avoid parties, you might worry that you're antisocial, cold, or just no fun to be around. But what if the truth is something entirely different? For many people, finding excuses to skip social events isn't about a lack of interest in others. It's about emotional protection. It's the invisible wrestling match between the need to belong and the need to breathe. It's wanting connection, but on your own terms. For you, the noise and chaos of a crowd don't feel refreshing. They feel draining. Every conversation starts to add another layer of tiredness instead of excitement. Every laugh that doesn't feel genuine, every moment where you feel you have to perform, just adds to a sense of emotional exhaustion. So why does this happen? It's partly about sensitivity. Not a flaw, but a living, breathing radar picking up on every shift in energy, every subtle cue. You spot when someone's laugh doesn't reach their eyes, or when tension flows beneath the surface of small talk. You process all of it, and it adds up to overstimulation. Here's the catch. A lot of those who find excuses to avoid parties aren't shy. They're not uninterested in people. They just don't recharge around a crowd. For them, superficial encounters can feel almost suffocating. They're not lazy, and they're certainly not uncaring. Their nervous systems crave sincerity, authenticity, and a space where simply existing doesn't feel like an emotional marathon. On a basic biological level, walking into a crowded room triggers ancient wiring in all of us. Deep in our brains is a need for social safety, to fit in, to be accepted, to avoid exclusion. For someone intensely attuned to emotional nuance, scanning the room for acceptance is no brief process. It's a constant, subconscious workout. It's no wonder you look for any excuse to stay home, where you can finally let your guard down. Here's the ironic twist. The people who most often avoid parties sometimes crave real connection the most. What they truly want is intimacy without exposure, laughter that isn't just echoing off small talk, and the safety to be themselves without having to act. If you ever find yourself declining an invite and then scrolling through the party photos later with a little twinge of guilt, you know this paradox. Deep down, you know your presence would have been physical, but not spiritual. You'd have counted the minutes until you could leave, smiled through exhaustion, and felt even lonelier in the crowd than you do at home. If you're relating to any of this, maybe take a second to like this video and drop a comment sharing your own experiences. Ever dodged a party with a creative excuse? You're not alone, and this discussion is for you. High sensitivity to social environments has a name: sensory processing sensitivity. Psychologists recognize that highly sensitive people process the world more deeply. The result? Smiling faces and loud music aren't just distractions. They're like a tidal wave of stimuli. Every element in a party, the lights, the noise, the overlapping conversations, hits you hard. It's not dysfunction. Sometimes it's actually a sign of emotional intelligence and self-preservation. Society, on the other hand, tends to praise outgoing personalities. The extrovert who works the room, the center of attention, that's the image of social success we're taught to chase. For those who find excuses to avoid parties, though, solitude isn't a flaw. It's a form of self-respect. The urge to avoid social events has even deeper roots in how we see ourselves. For those who felt misunderstood or invisible in their formative years, the mind learns that being around others can mean emotional discomfort or even pain. Rejection, no matter how small or subtle, registers as something to be avoided. Not the people themselves, but the feeling of being out of place or judged. And this memory, whether conscious or not, influences every invite you debate turning down. It's worth noting, though, that the folks who make a practice of finding excuses to avoid parties are often the most emotionally intelligent ones in the room when they choose to be in it. They listen more than they speak, notice the details most people miss, and connect deeply when trust is established. While they might not show up for every event, when they commit, they're all in, emotionally and mentally. Yet, this avoidance isn't without its costs. Humans, even the most solitary ones, are wired for belonging. Consistently avoiding group settings can leave you feeling isolated. The aim, then, isn't to force yourself into giant gatherings, but to seek out safe, meaningful contexts for connection. That could mean small gatherings, shared activities, rituals, or even online communities where interaction is more authentic and less overwhelming. Socializing doesn't always have to mean big crowds or loud celebrations. Sometimes, a quiet walk with one friend or a deep online conversation offers more real connection than any party ever could. Before we continue, if this resonates with you, I encourage you one more time to like, subscribe, and comment. It really supports our mission and helps this community grow. So what does it look like, in practice, to live with this pattern? People who avoid parties often have rituals. They might show up late and leave early, or busy themselves with tasks at the event just to sidestep the heart of the social swirl. Maybe they scroll their phone between conversations, not to be rude, but to find a safe harbor for their attention. These are coping mechanisms, ways to manage the invisible pressure of group dynamics. And it's not a sign of weakness. It could actually be a sign of profound self-awareness. But too much avoidance can trap you. The first time you say no to a party, there's relief. The 10th time, there can be emptiness. We all need mirrors, people who reflect back who we are in ways we can't see alone. If every invite is met with a creative excuse, over time, even the gentlest solitude can grow heavy and stale. The solution isn't to force yourself into the crowd, but to try new ways of connecting, bit by bit. Maybe it's a brief drop-in, a short phone call, or a quiet support role in a larger group. These are steps toward building tolerance without demanding you become someone you're not. This sensitivity doesn't arise overnight. Often it's shaped by years of being the quiet observer, the listener in a noisy family, the still presence in a group of talkers. Over time, you learn that it's safer to watch than to jump in, and that becomes part of your identity. If this feels familiar, it's not about fearing others, it's about protecting your own sense of safety and authenticity. And here's a powerful fact. People who find excuses to avoid social events are often the most quietly generous personalities. They love deeply, notice the details others miss, and give sincere attention when it really counts. Their friendships may be few, but they're unforgettable. When they do connect, it's deeply, honestly, and without performance. Evolution played a part in all of this. In ancient times, societies didn't just need leaders and hunters, they needed observers, the ones who sensed change before anyone else. Today, that means the person who senses a shift in group mood or needs time alone to recover is just as vital as the life of the party. But the world keeps pushing for more visibility, more connection, more sharing. If you're someone who's always finding excuses to avoid parties, it's not laziness or disinterest. It's your system rebelling against overstimulation. Your peace matters. But so does growth. And sometimes that means stepping out of solitude in small, manageable ways. Not to dilute your truth, but to prove to yourself that real connection can coexist with authenticity. If existing around others feels heavy, remember, every social situation is a mirror, showing us who we are and what stretches our comfort zones. When you avoid, you're not running away from people. You're running toward a version of yourself that doesn't have to fragment or pretend just to fit in. So if you find excuses to avoid parties, honor your need for quiet, but also notice when solitude becomes more of a cage than a comfort. Find connection in ways that nourish you. True belonging isn't found in noisy rooms, but in the moments where you can be fully, honestly, yourself. Thank you for watching the Growth Mindset Project. If this episode spoke to you, check out our other videos for more deep dives into the psychology of self, connection, and growth. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you're first to know when new insights arrive. We'll see you next time.